out of the box. But if you're a tweaker or a tinkerer, you might find the customizability of your iPhone or Android phone a little underwhelming. After all, being able to change your background and ringtone and whether or not Siri has a British accent only goes so far when it comes to tapping into your phone's hardware potential. So because of that, many people have turned to processes that remove some limitations. That's jailbreaking for the iSheep and rooting for the Fandroids. And although jailbreaking and rooting are technically quite different, they accomplish similar goals. Namely, they give you privileged access to the device's operating system, allowing you to do things you wouldn't normally be able to. Kind of like when Neo was able to see through the Matrix, except you won't be able to stop bullets. Seriously, please don't try. Let's start with Apple. iOS by default blocks any apps that haven't been approved by Apple and placed into the App Store. And it also forces you to use Apple's default user interface. On top of that, the iPhone hides its file system from users. So not only is it tough to see all your files conveniently that are actually on your device, it also prevents you from using the free space as a handy-dandy USB flash drive if that's what you're into. If you have a jailbroken iPhone, though, these limitations are removed and you can intensely customize the look and feel of your user interface, install and use any program written for iOS, no Apple approval needed, and directly access the file system, allowing you to use your phone as a flash drive or external hard drive. And a large community has popped up around the practice of jailbreaking, and you can find plenty of jailbreak exclusive tweaks and apps for your iPhone, including everything from Windows Phone lookalike themes to classic game emulators. But what about Android? They already have gaming emulators. As I mentioned before, the Android equivalent to jailbreaking is rooting, which also allows for a large number of visual and usability tweaks, as well as advanced features like app automation, the ability to turn your phone into a free Wi-Fi hotspot, sometimes even if your carrier doesn't allow it, and even overclocking. But frankly, many users do it on the Android side for far less exotic reasons: to get rid of the annoying, hard to remove bloatware that comes pre-installed on many Android devices, and even change operating systems entirely. So what if you're ready to take the plunge then and give it a shot? Well, jailbreaking or rooting your phone often isn't horribly difficult. A quick Google search will yield a number of downloadable tools that you can use to enable elevated access rights on your device. But keep in mind that since these tools are technically software exploits that take advantage of security flaws in the operating system's code, jailbreaking and rooting might not be available if you have a newer or a more obscure device or a very recent version of iOS or Android, as some phone manufacturers work actively to prevent these practices when they release software patches. Well, hold on, wait a second, Linus. Did you just say they're exploits? All this sounds kind of shady. Aren't there risks involved? Well, yes. Like many things you can do to tweak your gadgets, jailbreaking and rooting do come with a few caveats. Modifying your phone in this way can often void your warranty, and if you do it improperly, it could even brick your device. A lot of people also wonder whether jailbreaking or rooting is even legal. I mean, come on, jailbreaking even has the word jail right in it. And although I'm not a lawyer, and the true answer depends on where you live and the time that you live in, I can tell you that the short answer for those of you in Canada and the US living in the now is yes, it's legal, as long as you're not doing it to infringe on a copyright. But remember, guys, that laws change frequently, so you might want to do some digging around before you decide to trick out your phone with that super cool Linus theme that I'm sure one of you has spent days working on, right? No? All right then.
Do you want to know what it is? It is everywhere. You see it when you turn on your phone. You see it when your phone slows down due to crapware. It's a prison for your phone. Well, it is control, specifically carrier and manufacturer's control. So if you hate TouchWiz, HTC Scent, or any of the number of the crapware apps that carriers force onto your device and you can't delete, the solution to that is to hack the matrix, or in today's terms, we root our phone. But before we get into the benefits of rooting your phone, let's first talk about why you should not root your phone. So the number one reason not to root your phone is this. That's right, your warranty. If you root your phone, you gotta say goodbye to it. So that means that if you legitimately wanted to make a claim on your warranty because the manufacturer did something wrong with the phone, you can't make that claim anymore because rooting it completely voids the warranty. Now, the second big reason not to root your phone is that you run the risk of bricking it. Grandma? You're like talking to a brick wall. But we should clarify something really important here. Rooting your phone is normally very safe, no problem with rooting your phone. It's when you root the phone and then flash a custom ROM on the phone like Paranoid Android or CyanogenMod, which potentially can run a risk. And we refer to that as bricking your phone because if done improperly and the worst case scenario happens, the only thing you could use your phone is for a brick. Now, the third and final major reason not to root your phone is that there is an increased security risk that a virus could infect your phone. So, if you can live with those caveats, here's the great reasons to root your phone. Now, when you root your phone, you have what's called super user access. You get to the deepest aspects of Android. You're able to control things that Android wouldn't normally allow you to control. And one of the things that you can do is remove bloatware, crapware, all the apps that you don't want, gone. Number two reason to root your phone is that you can free up your phone's memory by putting apps on your SD card. Yes, if you root your phone, that is something you can do. Now, one of the major reasons to root your phone is that you can flash a custom ROM and completely change the user experience with your phone. CyanogenMod, Paranoid Android, those are two of the most popular ROMs, but there are hundreds of ROMs out there, and you can customize and tweak until your heart's content. And for you tweakers out there, for you geeks who just love to tweak and twiddle, this is for you. There are fantastic options when you want to flash a custom ROM. All right, so it's decision-making time. To root or not to root. Is rooting best for you? Well, in my experience, I think you can break down Android lovers to two kinds. One is the Android enthusiast, and the second is the Android geek. And the Android enthusiast loves Android. They love to buy the latest, greatest Android phone. They keep up to date on Android apps. They may even watch YouTube videos about Android. But they don't cross the rooting threshold. I'm an Android enthusiast. I've rooted my phone in the past because I wanted to access apps that required root, but I never flashed a custom ROM because I didn't really need to. And now that I have the Nexus 5 stock Android, I love it. It's more than enough for me. It provides all the tweaking that I need. But Android geeks, and there's a lot of them, they like xdadevelopers.com has millions of Android geeks there. They love to tweak. It's a hobby. Okay? They love to tweak and twiddle little tiny insignificant things to the average user, but to them it means a lot. Those who laud the exposed framework, for example, just can go on for hours about what they can do and what they can't do with the exposed framework. And there's a whole world of Android for those of you who want to root your phones. There's endless possibilities, but to the average user, those are insignificant little tweaks. But to an Android geek, they love it. So let me know in the comments below, are you an Android enthusiast or an Android geek? What do you think? Do you want to root or not root? Are you rooting? Is your phone rooted? I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching Android Army. My name is Jace. Love to connect with you right here on Google Plus or Twitter. Now, you should know, if you don't know already, that this is a 4-part series about the Great Leap Forward. In each one of these Android Q&A shows, I have a clue, a tiny little clue, maybe big clue, you don't know, but it's a hidden clue about what I believe is the next big leap forward for Android. Not what you think is the next big leap forward, but what I think the next big leap forward is. And if you can take all those 4 clues, at least 4 clues, or maybe more, and conclude about what I believe that next big leap forward is, you could potentially win a $50 Google Play gift card. So keep searching. I'm reading all the comments below. Talk to you on the next Android Q&A. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. You drive, you text, you pay. Now, normally when you hear people like me talk about Android versus iOS, you hear something about flexibility versus simplicity. We're going to do a lot more than that today. Now, before we get into comparing software features, we first got to define the term geek versus civilian. You see this? This is a Lion Steel SR1 with D2 steel and a monoframe handle. Now, if you are a knife geek, you gush over this knife and will fall in love with it, just like I do. I carry this knife with me every day, everywhere. If not this knife, one other knife very similar to it. Why, you say? Why do you carry a big-ass knife in your pocket, Jace? Well, like you, I need to cut things every day. Packages, cardboard, string, paper, envelopes, you name it. You use some cheap-ass dollar store scissors. I have a cool knife with a story about the fit and finish and the design and the intentions behind all this cool, subtle features and the craftsmanship that went into it. I'm a knife geek. You are a knife civilian. No right or wrong, just a totally different perspective on what we use to cut stuff. You see, I will submit to you that iOS is most enjoyed by civilians, people who just want to get that cheap pair of scissors to get the job done. iOS does the job, and it does it in a stylish fashion. Android, on the other hand, are enjoyed by Android geeks, people who want to get into the nitty-gritty because it's fun. And now to dive deep, we first have to talk about Android's double-edged open source sword. The ability to take the base version of Android and expand upon it has resulted in wonderful and diverse device experiences. Sadly, however, this has also meant some seriously strange and problematic situations, and at the core is what is called the AOSP, or Android Open Source Project, built and maintained primarily by Mother Google. Open source essentially means that anyone can download Android and install it on their devices, even manufacturers, for free. Now, if they want to have access to certain essential Google services like Gmail and Google Maps, then they have to adhere to certain standards and pay certain licensing fees. But it is still free to basically download and use. And this has allowed for an amazingly vibrant and diverse developer community that's created widgets and totally different versions of Android, forked versions of Android, like CyanogenMod. It's been amazing. But the other side of the sword is it can be a bit chaotic. While many of us believe that a lot of options is a good thing, there are those that feel that there are just too many options under the Android banner. With something north of 5,000 unique Android devices